Las Vegas, early on in the 1960s, was one of the places that we hear about the anti-poverty programs throughout the country. Las Vegas was one of those places, fortunate enough to have people who came together and they started the Economic Opportunity Board, the Clark County Economic Opportunity Board. Somehow it was located, the headquarters located in the West Side community. So that was one of those organizations that, because of the Johnson administration, the Nixon administration, pouring monies now throughout the country into communities that were not on a level playing field, and still not today, but trying to help people in some of the communities where jobs weren't as good as they should have been. These monies came in from the federal government. So all kinds of programs were made possible. A lot of these were job training programs. So in the West Side community, if people wanted to learn, now integration has taken place. So now blacks can spend money in the casinos here in Las Vegas, but we don't have the jobs. So it wasn't until 1970 that something passed called the Consent Decree. The NAACP, along with some of the community leaders, demanded that 12.5% of all of the jobs in the casino industry be set aside for African Americans, because African Americans only worked behind the house, in the back of the house. So maids, porters cleaning the casino floors, cleaning the hotels, and maids, linen workers, those were the black jobs. But when you look at the jobs where lots of money were made, tips were good, those were all white jobs. So we had to find a way that blacks could earn some of those monies. The Consent Decree was passed. So blacks now could start working as cocktail waitresses, could start working as dealers on the Las Vegas Strip. 1966, Caesar's Palace opened with 2 black cocktail waitresses, the first 2 black cocktail waitresses on the Las Vegas Strip, Dee Dee Cotton and Gwen Walker. So that started this. So that was 1966, so Caesar's Palace was a little ahead of themselves, a little ahead of the industry. In 1970, the Consent Decree was passed, and we began to see blacks now go into not only as dealers, cocktail waitresses, but we began to see black women go into some of the mid-level management jobs at places like the Desert Inn, started in the early 1970s. We have people like Faye Todd, Faye Duncan Daniels, Jackie Brantley, who were able to get jobs in places like the Sands Hotel, the Desert Inn Hotel, in the publicity department, in promotions and marketing. So not just mid-level management jobs where they were behind the scenes, but they were also in front. They were heading some of the advertising campaigns. There was an early campaign in the 1970s that Jackie Brantley worked on with Roosevelt Tostin. Roosevelt Tostin was one of those first black men who worked for the Las Vegas Convention Center and Authority. They were able to put together these promotions now because blacks were beginning to travel in this country, had always traveled, but could not come to Las Vegas because they had really no place to stay. So there were promotions and marketing campaigns done to entice African Americans who could afford it to come to Las Vegas and to stay on the Las Vegas Strip. So we even have some of those photographs showing some of those advertisements that were done. So Black people are now in those marketing jobs and bringing African American customers to Las Vegas. So that was the change in the 1970s as Blacks began to integrate into some of the management jobs.